Your release cue, well done. So, I won't say that word. So, we're back with my dogs are out now, and you can see Bonnie is got Hudson just lying down. So, as I approached, he had a little moment, so we just got him to just settle himself. Bonnie's back to feeding him. So what we're going to do is, rather than have my dogs move first, we're going to get Bonnie to move first. So she's just going to have him wander backwards and forth, and the goal is to do a little bit of parallel walking, and then hopefully what we're going to do is have Bonnie have Hudson free, and then I'll eventually, we'll see how the session goes, build towards him being off, or my dog's being off. But we'll play that by ear. Whether we get that to that point or not is dictated by the dog, as it always should be when you're dealing with reactive dogs. Okay, so Bonnie, if you just want to walk him round, just loop him. What I suggest is loop him round the tyres and the little hedge, whatever that is, fencing thing. Have him on, have the long lead trailing on the harness, and have the short line on him, yeah? So I'll be static, you just casually walk, nice and relaxed. Yeah, good. Okay, doesn't matter which side he's on, good. Just casually walk round, and then just what I would suggest is just loop round, and just watch your line doesn't get caught in the what's it. And as you loop back, so Bonnie's got Hudson on the inside of the circle, so she's got a natural barrier with herself. Just take the tension a little bit out of the lead that you've got in your hand. Just slack, that's it, just relax a little bit, because that's conveying. Let him have a moment, walk round, nice and slow rhythm, and then as you loop around again, okay, good. As you loop back around, just increase the circle so that you're a little bit closer to me. And then we'll do that a couple of times, and then we'll pick up and we'll start to. Yeah, do it in front, because you're going to get it. Yeah, yeah. So, that's okay. So loop, have him on the outside, Bonnie. So switch sides. So if you just flip your side, so rather than manipulate him, next time just switch yourself over. Good job. My dogs are obviously remaining static. Good, so have him just loop back. Good. So if you can, just keep him the momentum moving forward. Is he trying to get to a tree?
I'm not sure. I think he's down a stick and then I've got the tree and then I think he's trying to find.
Okay. So slacken your lead off, nice slow. Good, bring him back. It's a loop back. Good, good. Just keep him walking forward. Perfect, good. Good. And yeah, that's the other variation. You can zigzag backwards and forwards. You can sort of, now switch sides, bring him closer. Good. 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 Just nice and relaxed, nice and chilled, slow back, bring him back. So obviously these are things that you can do with other people in the out in the real world, so to speak. Obviously you want to be thinking about distance, yeah? So we just keep that nice and relaxed. Don't get too frantic with your feeding. Slow your rhythm down, be more casual. Bring him back. Good, nice, good. That's better. That's it. Just give him that bit of time. Good. Bring him back to the side that you had him on, so he doesn't cross that. Good. So you want to, again, when you're working with reactive dogs, you always want to know where the dog is, so that you can then make adjustments to the distance. So loop back. So what you're going to do, Bonnie, is go a bit further on. Yeah. And as you flip, turning, so you're going to keep him on that side, and then I'm going to, as you come down this way, I'll pick up and walk adjacent to you. As we walk forward, good. Good. Nice and slow, nice and casual. Good. Good. Just keep nice and relaxed. Good. This is enough. Okay, so just create a bit of distance. Move a bit further away. Just catch his collar. Catch his collar. If you need to get a bit more control, walk. That's it. Now relax. Stop. Good. Take the hand out the collar. Just go back to your nice, slow, rhythmic walking. Good. Good. Don't panic when he has those out. Catch the collar. Bring him back. Dogs. Good. Good. Walk. That's it. Good. Again. Good. 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 Okay, relax the collar. Good. So just hang out, take it, regroup yourself a little bit. So pause, stop there for a second. Good. Don't be so intent on him. That's it. Just give him a moment. So relax a bit, because you're just getting a bit tense. Good. Good. So So it's not a problem for him to look. Good. If he looks back, good boy. Reward that. Good. Good. So move him bring him a little bit closer. Put him in a little settle or lie down. So we're going to now switch this up. Him being in motion is offsetting you, and it's causing you to feel like you're losing a bit of control. So let's now switch the script. So bring the dog closer, ask him to settle. I'm going to move these guys. If he breaks, just bring him back and put him in that position. Okay? So bring him back, ask him to lie down or settle. Or sit or down. It doesn't matter. Just control. That'll do. Fine. Good. Okay? Good. So now I'm going to move along a parallel line. If he breaks position, just guide him back. Okay? Dogs. Really slow. Good job. Good. Reward that. That's better. Good. Good. Okay. So I'm going to now edge a bit closer. Because I'm avoiding all trouble. Good. No. Good. Big. Good. 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 So now you're going to move him a little bit. Break him up and move him a little bit. Good. That's what you need to do. Casually move him. Good. Switch sides, bring him the other way. Good. 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 Nice. Okay. So now we're going to go back to what we just did. We're going to do some parallel walking. Come on, dogs. Good. Good. That's better. Good. Stop. After your control position. Good. Okay, so I'm going to continue moving. So when he just showed a little bit of awareness, just move the section and pick up. Okay? Up from here. Good. Find yourself closer. So when you're ready, you pick up and start moving him and edge a fraction closer. Okay? I'll be stationary now. Closer. Nice. So just figure it. So we can make the last closer. Good. 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 And you're going to be the moving part. Good. Move back. Put them in a controlled position. Good. Good. So now take distance. Pause. Ask him to settle down. Assess a second. Get yourself back together. Don't body block it so much. Don't hit that second. And give him a easy. You ask him to sit with me or do whatever you say, and just walk him up and walk back. Now refocus a bit, okay? Okay, good. Good. Watch his back legs lift on the long line. Line up on it. Okay, so you can sort it out yourself. It's fine. Back this way. Good. Good. Ask him to lie down or to settle, and I'm going to now move a little bit. Okay. Pause. Dogs. This way. Sit. Good. Good. Reward. Good boy. Good. Right there. Dogs. So the trigger is definitely when we both are in motion. Good. Good. Okay. So now you're going to keep moving anything. You move him off. And we're going to just see if we can get to moving us in parallel, yeah? Good. Good. Nice. Good. Bring him back, put him in a control position, I'll move. Good. Boy, hold down. Boy, so I'm going to move again. Come on. Good, nice. Good, I'm going to go a bit closer. Okay, you be the moving part now. Okay, push him back, up into control position. Good, so I'm going to move now just this way. Good. In the eye line. Okay, now you be the moving part. Come back this way. Come in control position. Good. Okay, good. Good. So I'm going to move. Okay, dogs. Dogs. Good. That's nice. Good. Move a little bit. nice and stop. Put him in a controlled position. Good. I'm going to continue moving, and then I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to move. Okay. You're going to move. Dogs, fire. Move. Okay, loop back. I'm going to pick up and move with you. You keep moving. Good. Move. Stop. Move back. Move through. Okay, more distance. More distance. Better. Good. Now carry on. Now carry on. Go back to moving. Just casually move. Good. So we're asking a lot of him. We just want to get. What we'd like. I'd like to end on is that parallel walking. That tiny little. Regroup. Fire. Stop now. Good job. This way. Okay. Move forward. Right. Better. Okay. Take more distance. Now go back to the static position. He's really good on that. So put him in a settle. Good. I'm going to go back to moving because he's now preempting me moving. That's what's making him edgy. Good. Good. So dogs move. Good. That's good. Good. Okay. So now don't reward. Now don't reward the static as much.
Okay.
Right. Now I want you to move him, and I want you to try and reward him more frequently as you move. Okay. So like 2 steps reward. 2 steps reward. Okay. Move. Reward. Good. Feed. Slow it right down, Bonnie. Feed. So what's happening is, because you're, okay, pause, move it, start to settle. Because you're able to reward him more frequently in the static position, he's more focused and he's less, yeah? What happens when you move him, because the ratio of reinforcement changes to being more infrequent, that's when he's likely to have an outburst. So what I want you to do is do movement, and as quick as you can, feed him, or literally 1 or 2 steps feed, 1 or 2 steps feed, okay? And again, and move, 1 or 2 steps feed. Good. 1 or 2 steps feed. Slow it right down. So the quicker you are, the quicker you have to be. So you, that's it, and feed. Good. Good. Okay? Good. And 2 steps feed. I know it's tricky with the muzzle. It's okay. Good. That's okay. Good. Good. And feed. Good. 2 steps. 1, 2, feed. Good. Okay? Ask him to lie down. Now extend the amount of feet. So down, sit, doesn't matter. Good. Good, okay? So now you're not going to feed him quite so frequently, dogs. Good. Lovely. Good. Lovely. Okay. So now move and increase the feed. Move. Good feed. 1, 2, feed. Pause. 1, 2, 3, feed. Well done. Move back the other way because he just had a little bit of an eyeball there. Good. Move him back, change. Good. Nice. And feed. Good. Okay. Now you keep your ratio of feeding up. And I'm going to walk parallel. Good. I'm walking with you. Keep walking. Slow, so don't panic. You're doing really good. Doing good. Don't panic. Good. Lovely. That's better. Okay, good. Good. Kicking. That's a little bit longer. Nice, Bonnie. Good. Stop. Through. Put it down. That was nice, Dave. Good. Stop now. Very healthy. Don't body block it. So you start with that distance. Further away. Now. Good. One more rep, then we'll stop. Good. Take it a bit further away. Struggle with that distance. Just further away. Bring it back. Just take that up. Good. And ask him again. Taking a bit further away. Good. Fix the distance again. This is classic of what happens. We're imposing a little bit of, some challenges for us into the questions. We're struggling to do it down. Good boy. Super. Don't panic. Keep your nerve, keep calm, persist. Yeah? Good. So we're going to do one more rep of parallel walking with you frequently feeding, okay? Good. And so regroup. When you go, whenever you're ready, and I'll start following you. Okay? Try it if you can. That's nice. That's nice. Nice. Okay, stop. Regroup. Go back to your station position where you feel more comfortable, where this is a control position. You struggle. Okay, distance. You can even swap it to 60 once you struggle down. The position isn't relevant. It just gives you a moment. Good. That's fine. Leave it back. That's fine. Good. Okay. So, perfect. 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 That was nice. This is really good. Yeah. got closer, we did the struggle was parallel walking, which you had to struggle with the other day. We achieved that a little bit, but just by increasing that ratio of feeding, we got him to be able to walk parallel with the other dogs. That was excellent. Okay, so rather than now push for the dog to have a setback, that was a nice little inroads to overcoming his reactivity issues, building his confidence up, and obviously giving Bonnie some confidence. So what you're going to do is just casually take him off, nice and chill, put him at the back of the car. Just nice and casual start. I'm going to stay here. Good. Perfect. Perfect. So just let him relax. He can have a little sniff and a move. And if you want, Bonnie, you can just, when you're at a comfortable distance, just casually take his collar off, his muzzle even, yeah, and just let him have a little sniff. Good, well done. He can sniff and he can be, you can even let him sniff, Bonnie, at a distance and just let him be around the other dogs. Yeah, just let him casually sniff. Good, let him be a dog now for a minute. Nice casual stroll back, really good. Good. Okay, so just to recap on that session. So obviously we're pushing Hudson out of his comfort zone, but we've got safety protocols in place. He had a muzzle on, he had a long line, he had a harness, we're in a secure location. We've got dogs that are going to be neutral, abiding on eye contact. They're well used to stooging with other dogs. So they are robust, they're not going to react to him, they're not going to go back at him. So that is another thing, an advantage. So when you're working with reactive dogs, you really need to think about controlling as many of the moving parts as you possibly can. If you're going to take this strategy out to the real world and you're going to have to do this in a public space, distance is going to be your friend. Using a muzzle, having safety protocols in place, and having somewhere that you can create distance to. Think about, this is a great location because there's lots of open space. So if this was a public venue, I know, for example, the dogs can only come in from one specific location. So that's going to help me where I decide to start my training process. So if we were to meet Bonnie at a public location, I would be thinking about making sure that I could see all the entry and exit points so the dogs then didn't get invaded by another dog or person that could obviously trigger his reaction, and ensuring that we're constantly reading the dogs. There was a couple of moments there where we got a little bit closer. You could see Bonnie get a bit panicking and just worry a little bit. Again, we always want to be thinking about our response so that we stay nice and calm and neutral, and regrouping, just taking those pauses, deep breath, making sure that you're aware of your anxiety levels so that you don't exacerbate the situation. And we ended on a really, really nice couple of great moments there where he did some parallel walking with the other dogs walking adjacent to him, and was nice and relaxed and calm. Now, this is going to be a long-term project for a dog like him, so it's a case of doing these sessions on a semi-regular basis, and it's quality, not quantity. I would rather do a session like this with a dog once a week as opposed to trying to do it every single day and I have the wrong responses from the other dogs or the wrong responses from the other people. So always think about that. So less is more. Obviously in the intermediary time, the body needs to do things that ensure that he is, has his needs met, exercise, enrichment, and so forth, so that isn't another entity that's causing the problem. So I'm just going to see if there's any questions from anybody, or observations or comments that you want to share before we draw our live to the close. We're closed. Good girl. Any questions at all? Cool. Alrighty. So I think that's it. If you do have questions, if you pick up this live retrospectively, feel free to post them on the comments, and you can obviously I can come back and answer them. So we've got another session planned with Hudson. I'm going to put the details in the group when that will be. I have a feeling it's on Sunday, I guess, right? I need to check that one. But I've also got this evening at 5 p.m. I've got another live plan with a special guest talking about reactive behaviour. So that's 5 p.m. on my main Facebook page. Check that out. Obviously sharing information with people about reactivity and helping you guys to have the best life you can with your dogs. All right, well, oh, is there a question?
It is best to do it with the same dogs each time or different?
Okay, is it best to do it with the same dogs each time or different? Because I have a lot of dogs that are comfortable and confident with other dogs, and I use frequently in what I do, we would probably change the dogs the next time round, because what can often happen is he goes, oh great, I'm fine with these two dogs, a black dog and a little tricolor border collie, but I'm not comfortable with a white dog or a grey dog or a black dog and so forth. So we want to change it up, but obviously the big thing is being aware of the dog's sensitivity levels, the dog's how comfortable he is, and making sure that we don't bombard him with too much. So for example, our next session we might change it and just solely work on play and engagement around people. In this session, obviously for the purpose of a live, we did we did play and having a second person here, or a third person I should say. So that was a little bit of a challenge. He did really well on that, and we pushed it a little bit out of that comfort zone, and we introduced dogs. Ideally, I would do that in 2 separate sessions, but you know, sometimes we need to step outside of our comfort zone to get where we need to go. Right, good.
Another question.
Yeah.
Was there a particular reason you didn't use play with Hudson in the session with your dogs? Would this have led to too much over-arousal?
Yeah, definitely. So, definitely because the practical thing, safety will always trump any training technique. Obviously, attack. Sorry. That's right. So my dog's now going to maul Bonnie. I'm trying to say hello to Bonnie. Right, come on, dog. So the reason we didn't use a toy is because that would mean removing the muzzle. That would then make Bonnie feel a little bit more vulnerable, because in case Hudson did pull, you know, what the story that's pull, and the concern may be what if, which is often the case when people have dogs with reactivity issues. It's more what could happen as opposed to what is likely to happen, and often that thinking can be disproportionate. So, what if Hudson got off and ran away and savaged Kamal's dogs, etc.? That's the narrative that can go in that person's mind, which will create an underlying level of anxiety. Hence why we had the muzzle on, which means then we can't use toy play. Ideally, what we would do is we would build towards toy play. My dogs are proofed enough to understand if somebody else is playing, not to engage with them. So I'm comfortable that I can have these particular dogs and most of my dogs around people playing and interacting with toys. Unless they want to just love them and mug their treat pouch.
It's less love and more treat pouch,
exactly.
I think.
Super, fire. Super, fire. Right there. Right, can we settle? Good. Fire. Let me just train my dogs quickly. Good.
Train your distraction.
Yeah, exactly. Fire. Settle. Good job. So, hence why we didn't want to use toy with Hudson. The other thing, his toy play actually needs to be developed so it's a little bit more focused, because he plays, he's very juvenile. It's very typical for juvenile German Shepherds not to have a great amount of intensity for their toy play. So until we've got him really, really into the toy, I wouldn't want to use that as a reinforcement around other dogs, because the challenge is for him to be able to play with the toy, not release it and then redirect on the other dogs. And obviously we want to keep the arousal level to a manageable level. He's naturally going to be aroused by just the presence of other dogs and strange people, so we don't want to add fuel to the fire by necessarily bringing the toy into the equation. The long-term plan would be absolutely to use the toy, because for that particular dog, the toy is probably going to be a really powerful reinforcement, and it's also going to have a lot of classically conditioned, really happy, jolly responses. So the goal is eventually that the presence of a toy can allow Bonnie to reinforce good behaviour, and in situations, for example, if she has a random dog invade her personal space that she hadn't planned for, she can pull her toy out and have her dog focus on the toy and guide him out of that situation. So that would be what I call her get out of jail parachute, pull the parachute, everything's gone a bit left option. Yeah, we always want to create lots of diversity in how we reinforce our dogs. So great question. Definitely toy play is something that I would utilise with dogs that are lacking confidence, and it also, what it does is, if you think of it logically, if a dog is chasing a squirrel or a bunny, it's not going to see the barbed wire fence. Sometimes that can be an asset to you when you've got a dog that's distracted by a competing distraction. For example, he's very aware of dogs, so we have him so focused on the toy where he values the toy and what can potentially, the interaction Bonnie can give him via the toy. That the hope is that will trump the power of another dog and the lure and the draw of another dog. So toy play is something that I work on with my dogs a lot. When I walk my dogs all together, I'll always have a toy with me, which allows me to create instant focus and navigate. If I see a person or child or dog, etc., I can pull my toy out, use it effectively like a magnet to draw them away from situations that might concern them. Now, separately, we can also use toy play to build his confidence with people. If he anticipates that people are play buddies, yeah, and they provide him with a toy as opposed to food, that can also help him build his confidence. Any other questions?
Do you constantly or break off briefly when the dog is more relaxed? Feed. I'm not sure if I understand it either.
Just whoever asked that question, just rephrase that. I'm not sure I understand. Do I constantly break off?
Margaret, what do you mean by that? Can you just retype that? I'm not sure.
Other questions?
Got Lulu showing some love for Fi.
Lulu, your biggest fan.
Super's not impressed though. Noted, Lulu.
Yeah, exactly. You pleased, Bonnie? Good? Knackered. It's hard work.
He's hot, he's strong, it's hard work.
Alright, have that
Yeah.
Definitely today, I think the option is not to try and push him to say, right, let's walk the lead. We want to just keep building his confidence up. So actually, because he really struggled with parallel walking, it's not a bad thing for us to actually, let's work on that skill. So last time we did a session with Bonnie, he had a similar response, and I said to Bonnie, you know what, we're gonna change this, and we're gonna actually have him with the other dogs. We're gonna have him with the other dogs, and we're gonna let him have some space, which we did, and he was really, really good, and that he romped around with them. We should have picked him today actually, because it's more fun, not chucking down the road. But nonetheless, really, really good session with him. He ended up really, really nice. So really, really happy how that went. The key thing is to obviously with a dog like that is to keep covering all the bases. So we would do a little bit of socialization, we would do a bit of loose lead walking, we do a little bit of impulse control or stimulus control. We would mix it all up so that you're trying to cover, the dog that you create the dog that you want to be. That question come back.
It has, yeah, thank you. Do you constantly feed or break off briefly when the dog is more relaxed?
Yeah, if the dog is more relaxed, there's several things, because it's a little bit, if a dog is genuinely relaxed, okay, and if I break them off and then feed them, there's a possibility that I could be contradicting the relaxed state of mind, okay? So my preference is actually to do exactly what Bonnie did, where she got her dog to the point where he genuinely relaxed and you could see his demeanour start to soften. I think also, obviously, the session's a little bit, he hasn't been out here for an extensive period of time, but he genuinely softened in his demeanour, he was more relaxed. So the reinforcer was to actually just casually remove him from where the dogs are, allow him to do a little bit of sniffing and just self-regulating, and casually go back to the vehicle. It doesn't always have to be, reinforcement doesn't have to be just giving the dog a treat. Yeah? Any other questions? Okay. All right, guys, I'm just mindful of the time. Thank you very much for your questions and your interest. Hopefully that's been insightful about seeing a practical session where it doesn't always, dog training doesn't always go in a linear state. Yeah, it doesn't go from point A to Z in one straight line. It can be bumps in the road, and it can be setbacks, and it can be backward steps and forward steps, etc. That's effectively what dog training is. So when you see a session like that, that's more realistic about what is likely to happen. We could have easily have created the scenario where Hudson was so far away that he didn't even notice the dogs, and it would have all been brilliant, but that's not reality. So the key to finding solutions with reactive dogs is to embrace sometimes that you need to step outside your comfort zone and build their confidence. Sometimes that takes a little bit of a backward step to move forward. All right, guys, thanks for your interest. Hopefully this has been insightful. Join me tonight at 5 o'clock for another live with a special guest.